Divine Noni, ஆரோக்கியத்தின் அடையாளம்.
Supercoherence is a new word, and the root word of supercoherence is coherence. It is about something new. And coherence is not a word we use very frequently. It's kind of a newish word, but it's very important for this system and for the challenges that we face in the 21st century. I think all of us know that the rate of change is exponential, and there is no going back. So when there are exponential rates of change which are happening on Earth at this point in time, everyone feels the brunt of it. So in simple terms, in a few years ago, if you posted a letter, it would take, you wrote the letter and you posted it, and it took 5 days to reach or 2 days to reach, and then somebody replied to you and it came back another week later. Today, you hit a button on a computer and you can send it to 1 million people. And if those same million people reply to you, how will you reply to them? What happens to us when we face this kind of barrage of information overload, which I don't know whether you face or not, but it's very much the truth in a large part of the world which is technologically advanced, as India is. So coherence is a very important word for you to understand. And coherence came about in the 1960s when the laser was invented. The invention of the laser was a very important event for humanity. What we are seeking to do is this. Dr. Peter has a very big task. This is the task: breaking the cycle of suffering. And we are in the middle of it, and we've been in it for a few thousand years. So breaking that cycle is neither simple nor easy. Oh, yeah. And this is the way. But again, it is not simple or easy. This is a quote by Rumi, who was a Sufi master. And it says, "Your task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find all the barriers within yourself that you have built against it." And let me tell you something. There are huge barriers that we have built in ourselves. So how do we break those barriers? I want to say something to you which may be disturbing. We know only 5% of ourselves, and the 95% is hidden. That 95% is very, very powerful, and you call it the unconscious. You also have an energy field. So you have an energy field. Whether you know it or not, whether you can see it or not, there is an energy field. That energy field is encoded. It's light, energy. It's not just energy. It's light, energy, and information. What is this information? This information is all the experiences that you have ever had, not only in this lifetime, but in all your lifetimes as a soul on a journey. Everything is present right now, whether you know it or not. You don't know it, so you know only 5% of yourself. And what we think we have is a key to open the door to that 95%, which stands in our way to go towards love. So if all the trauma, all the disappointments, all the hurts are there, I can say, I want to love. But can I do it all the time? That is not so easy. If my wife shouts at me, or my husband nags me, or my children are rude to me, do I feel loving at the time? Well, at least I don't. So I have to find a way to go to that love regardless and bypass or go through this 95%. And the key is coherence. These images have never been seen, at least not in India. We call them beings of light. Humans are light life forms. Humans emit light. Now, the interesting thing to see is that this is done in a special field using a special technology. You can't do this every day, and you can't do it in this room. You can only do it in the field of what this extraordinary technology is. So humans emit light. Humans are light, energy, and information. So this solid body is light, energy, and information. It's very hard to get that through our head, because the head is very solid, but everything is vibration, but it's not only vibration, it is vibration with information. So to know the power of coherence, why you need coherence. If you take a 60-watt light bulb, it lights a small room. If you take the same 60 watts of light, the same amount of energy, and you make that energy coherent, you hit what is called an exponential curve. So a 160-watt light bulb lights a small room, but a 60-watt laser can put a spot of light on the moon and can cut through steel. Humans also fluctuate between the states of coherence and incoherence. Incoherence is chaos, and coherence is order. So if your energy could be made coherent, what would happen? Can you imagine? But generally, our energy is not coherent. It is largely incoherent. And when illness results, if your system tips into incoherence, so it carries on your system, the human system is supremely intelligent. Just imagine this. You have 40 trillion, 50 trillion cells. Science says that. Now, those 40 trillion cells, each one of them have to talk to one another as long as you are in a physical form and do a coordinated cooperative activity to keep your body in function. Have you ever thought of that? What is the quality of intelligence it takes to do that? It's not a small intelligence. You are the face of an extreme intelligence, which at one level is always coherent. But at the level of the personality, there's a gap. And that gap is the stuff that happens at the unconscious level. So while I might intend this, what really comes out may be something that is less than. So I just want you to understand the power of coherence. So the same amount of energy, if it is differently organized, gives you a very different and much more powerful result. You have to get that to get this system. This is the special technology I was talking about. This is what happens. I've done this work since 1995, when this, what I call Star Trek technology, came into my life through a series of extraordinary events. And in this technology, you basically bypass space-time which has not been done on Earth before. You cannot bypass space-time in a space-time dimension. But in the field of this device, which is called Illuminator, which was invented by an American genius called Patrick Richards in the 1980s, and there are only about 20 of these devices on Earth at this point in time. In the field of the Illuminator, this quantum dimension, which everybody has talked about, suddenly became visible for the first time in human history. So that gives us an opportunity to work with this in a far more scientific and objective way than has ever been possible in human history, in my view. So the human fluctuates only between two states. And an incoherent image, you can only take these images in the field of this device. So an incoherent image appears like this. Though I am standing here and look normal, the camera sees another reality. And this one is coherent. So when your photon emission, when your light emission becomes aligned or coherent, you are in good form. And when it becomes incoherent, then it is chaotic. Too much chaos in the system results in unhappiness, illness, stress. So we come to the most important number. What is the most important number? 0 marks in an exam, no good. 0 rupees in bank account, also no good. That's the rule of 0 in the 3D reality that we live in. But the most important number is also 0. Now, you know who knew that long time ago? The Indians knew it. They call it Shunya. The Indians and the Tibetans understood the power of 0 long, many thousands of years back. And yet 0 in this reality is nothing, but when you cross the portal of 0, you enter the realm of miracles. You need to know that. That is why people say do meditation, because meditation allows you entry into that portal. But once you come out of meditation, you're not there. Over here, we have a direct, systematic access to 0 whenever you want. Why is 0 important? 0 is the ultimate balance point. It's the central point. It's the beginning and the end point. And most important of all, it is the point of clarity and neutrality. What shapes reality is only one thing. Perception shapes reality. What is perception? Perception is what I see and how I understand what I see. But if my perception is off, how do I know it's off? You can't know it's off. You think you're doing everything right. But if perception is off, you are out of 0. If you get back into 0, you are back in the realm of miracles. And you have what I call a real choice, which is conscious and aware. So science has found that the 0 point, there's something called the 0 point field, which exists at temperatures of absolute 0. And where they thought there was nothing, they found that it was teeming with energy. And so the 0 point field and the 0 that you access through what we call the 0 point alignment is the same. And that the Indians also call it the Akashic records, which means you can access all the information that ever has been, that is, and that will be. It's access to total knowledge. Does that sound crazy? So reality has been turned upside down when you cross the portal of zero. But it's a very precise alignment. It's not something that you can guess or something that you can just meditate with. So coherence for the human is clarity. I value clarity above all things. Why? Because it permits me to see my own truth in a way without any color, without any filters. It's also access to creativity. Total knowledge gives you access to creativity and connectedness. Because your cells, your 40 trillion cells, talk to each other. The language is light. This is not my work. This is the work of a German scientist called Fritz Albert Popp, who did this work in the 1970s, where he discovered that cells communicate through light signals. And that light signal, if it was coherent, would equal to vitality, and if the light signal was incoherent, it would lead to disease. This is the most extraordinary thing. But this is coherence plus something. This experiments happened in just 2008, 2009, where you can actually see what happens when the system is stressed, when the system is in trouble. Here is this woman who is a client of mine, and she stands with her 2 daughters. And we take a photograph. All the photographs are Polaroid photographs. You can't meddle with them. And she is kind of okay. She's not absolutely coherent, but she's okay. When she holds the photograph of her ex-husband, she's only holding a photograph. Please see what happens to her. She becomes completely fuzzy. And not only does she become fuzzy, but the children become fuzzy as well. You are seeing what happens at an energetic level in a manner that has never been possible. And then she holds the same photograph, and she holds a set of what we call supercoherence frequencies. These frequencies are called return to love, because they return the system past zero into love. At the bottom, what Dr. Peter said, what you talk about all the time when you say, I love you. Love is the central key of this whole of the human. And but this love is not simple or sweetie. It's very tough, it's powerful, and it will also destroy you if you don't adjust to it. Because the soul wants to love everyone and everything. And the personality has its problems. So it's not so easy to do that. With the frequencies that we talk about, the system is given the help that it needs. Now, it's the energetic system. It's not your head, it's not your heart, it's not your personality, it's that other being, the divine, who is also you. You cannot escape that, whether you like it or not. You are the face of that one. And the frequencies allow you to touch that point in yourself and go past zero, go past through all the unconscious, and really touch that pure place, which is you. It's a feeling place. It's not a thinking place. It's a knowing place. And you can only experience it. But until it touches you in that way, we all long for it. We have always longed for it. And we break our heads and we break our hearts longing for that love, which is total and complete. I'm going to give you one simple affirmation, which we have done 15 years of imaging, and that if you make one simple affirmation, it will take you closer. It won't necessarily get you past zero, but it will take you close. And because I want to give you something, I can't give you the frequencies, but I can give you this as a gift. And it's a simple affirmation. You can say it in any language, and the affirmation simply says, I love and accept myself exactly as I am. It's a very simple affirmation. And every time we've done the imaging, and we've done imaging tens of thousands of photographs, you use that affirmation and the person becomes coherent. So that deep level of self-acceptance is the key to coherence and is the key to supercoherence. If you love yourself in that manner, in that way, the world will change for you in ways that you cannot imagine. But you cannot pretend to be happy when you're not. You have to look at that also and see where it takes you. If you look at something, if you stare at it, you're asking it a question. It will always give you an answer, because your heaven and your hell reside within. They're not out there. And what we see out there, the cycle of what we call evil or, suffering, all that, which we have not managed to shake off for thousands of years despite all our technological advances, we have a chance now. We have a chance. Because at the light energy information level, it's not bound by space-time rules. So, if you can bypass space-time, you go into a completely exponential curve. You can heal somebody 20 million miles away in the next room. Everything becomes possible, which otherwise becomes impossible at the physical level. So to create what Professor Peter was talking about, you need to go to this other level. That is the level from where miracles happen. That is the portal of miracles. You need to know that. And when you know that, there's something happens. Coherence is another word for alignment. What happens is when light becomes coherent, the peaks and the troughs of the wave match exactly. What is that another word for? It's another method of alignment. So when there is alignment, there is no friction. Friction is yes, no, no, yes, analysis, paralysis. When there is no friction, there is what is called a coherent intent. So just intent will not do the job, sorry, but a coherent intent will do the job. Coherence means that your soul is the primary player, not your physical body, not your emotions. Your soul is the primary player. You have to align with that. And when the emotions, the body aligns with that, miracles happen again.
Divine Noni, ஆரோக்கியத்தின் அடையாளம்.